Harmony price update.
Let's get into it.
So today, guys, we will be taking another cheeky look at Harmony One Protocol. We'll be taking a look at that price action and taking a deep dive into the one technical analysis. We'll be taking a look at the one coin on the daily chart, the 4-hourly chart, and the hourly chart. We'll be taking a look at those key indicators such as the Fibonacci retracements, the 50, 100, 200 moving averages, along with the volumes and that relative strength index. Hopefully, combined across those three different charts, we'll get a good idea as to what is actually happening here when it comes to Harmony One and the price of the one coin. Is this thing likely to pump to the upside shortly, or is it likely to fall down a little bit further before it gets that corrective action and pump to the upside? As we get into this video, guys, if you do find it useful and informative, hit that like button. We both really do appreciate that. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you want to stay up to date with all of those new cryptocurrencies and hidden gems that we talk about here at Cheeky Crypto, then do consider subscribing to the channel. By subscribing, you'll be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here at Cheeky Crypto. It is free and you'll stay well informed, so why not? And Chris, anything else you would like to add before we jump on down and get into this one technical analysis?
Well, there was some absolute bargains out there yesterday. Let me know. Did you buy any more Harmony One yesterday? Really interested to know. And Nick, is it worth just covering off the pool?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do that. We'll do that first. Let's jump down to the desktop and just talk about what's going on with the Harmony One staking pool.
Let's do it.
Fantastic. So, as many of you know, we do run a Harmony staking pool where you can earn some juicy rewards. This comes under the ticket of Cheeky One, and yesterday, unfortunately, in the early hours of the morning, whilst I was asleep, you know, those rare opportunities that we get, Chris, we actually, our server, one of our nodes, went offline. It went off piece, and well, yeah, we didn't get a very good return because of that. So in the last few hours, it basically dropped that return rate down to 6.5 as only shard 2 was up and running. So yeah, in terms of just trying to keep everyone up to date with everything, obviously because of that, we're not elected. I'm correcting that now so that shard 0 goes back online. I'm still not sure quite what happened as to how it became offline, but it did. And yeah, anyway, so that's what's happened there. So we have had this unfortunate event where we're actually down to 6.5 on those returns. That's going to be back up again today, and we'll get right back up into that 11 to 12% range, within the next 24 hours or so. Very frustrating, but unfortunately these things do happen. I need to figure out why it happened and try to prevent it from happening again. But yeah, that is what it is. And Chris, ultimately we've got 27.1 million one tokens in the pool, which is fantastic. That allows us to add more shards and increase that rate. We've seen this thing as high as 19.5% returns for you guys. I've tried to always get us back up to those points. We have some high ones out here, 14.7 for example. And yeah, the more that comes in, the more delegated, the more shards and more slots I can add, that will ultimately increase the chances of getting basically elected. And this is the election process over here. So we need to be below 4.8 million one tokens in the pool in order to be effectively delegated. And what we mean by that is if you come down here, there's a bid, an effective bid, and a total. Right at the very bottom here, right, so this ideal pool, they have 116,000 one tokens in their pool. And if they get elected with one of their slots, or the one slot that they have been elected for here, there'll be basically that 116,000 one tokens is as if they were bidding with 4 million one tokens. So the lower the number, the better. But obviously you want to make sure you're still elected. So it's a bit of a game you play. And obviously you want to be as low as you can on the bid while still being elected. So above the 800 slot level. And then obviously you'll maximize the returns for you guys. So I'm doing that, but at the moment we, with 27 million, it's really hard to divide that up evenly across slots and shards. So we're still getting below the effective bid, so we're still below that median stake up the top there. but we're just not quite optimized to like getting those really juicy rewards at the bottom yet. But the more that comes in, the higher the possibilities are. So yeah, do watch this space. We're going to get 𝗕𝗪𝗪𝗔𝗡 fixed and all sorted today, and then everything's going to be up and running once again. But Chris, anything else you'd like to add on the pool side of things?
No, these things happen from time to time. It's the same with every pool. You can't help it if a node goes down. It is what it is, right? So yeah, just obviously trying to be as transparent with everybody as possible.
Fantastic. Right, let's jump into this then. So this is 1 to the USDT, and here we are looking at the daily chart, and Binance is the data source. We have a Fibonacci retracement tool on here. This runs from our low level on the 11th of March 2021, followed by that high point that was the 29th of March 2021, right? So we had that was an 18-day run that saw 496% in gains, which is quite a significant run. And since then, we've actually been trading sideways for 20 days. Okay, and we've obviously corrected down to those real key areas, the most common ones that we talk about quite often here, the 618, the 50, and the 382. Now, in the case of yesterday's, I guess, Bitcoin correction, ultimately taking those profits has pulled most of the market down. And in that case for One Harmony, that was pulled down right to that lower level here of the 382. Now, I do imagine that was the bottom here. That is very unlikely that we're likely to go kind of below this point, in my opinion. And this is because it took a macro event like Bitcoin doing a really steep correction to be able to even do that. Okay, otherwise we actually had a good support line up here where 13.5 cent, and that was holding really well. We can see that we got it over here. We were testing it here, we tested it again here, and it was holding up. Right now, we just need to get above that 13.5 and then confirm that that is back into a support zone. And once that's done, I think that kind of means we're in a pretty good spot to move on out of here. And the reason that I say this is obviously the volumes are nice and low, but we're also below our key line here of 49.17 on that daily chart. Okay, and this is an area that we bounced up from before. We got a bounce here, and I thought we were going to be having a real good shot at moving on up from here, but unfortunately, well, we saw what happened with Bitcoin, etc. And we got that test here. I thought that was going to be the last test before moving on up. And then obviously Bitcoin's correction came in and pulled this thing a little bit lower. But that does mean that there's more room to grow here on that RSI. So lots of potential still up for grabs, right? So on this daily chart, yeah, I'm not going to go into the price stuff just yet on the kind of forecasting, but let's go down and take a look at what things are, looking like on that 4-hourly chart. So from here, if I just expand that up a little bit so you can see those candles, we can see that we have all these moving averages kind of all convened together. And we have the 50, the 100, the 200. We have them crisscrossing around as well. So ultimately, just looking at these things, it looks like the 50 moving average is actually a bit of resistance here on the 4-hourly chart. We'll see how we're fighting up against 13.5 at the moment. We want to see if we can get that confirmed. I think we will. Obviously, when we're down here, we were oversold and we're pushing right back up into our key area on that relative strength index. And the volumes are still decreasing over time here. That's a good sign for keeping things nice and stable. So on the way up, like I often talk about, though, we want an increasing volume as we increase our RSI. Otherwise, this is going to be short-lived, okay? So we're going to have to watch that quite closely. That volume does have to come in if we want a decent price action to occur. So yeah, other than that, I mean, we got the 100 moving average also as a bit of upper resistance as well. And I'm hoping that this 200 moving average starts to come back down and we get those 50 and the 100 a little bit higher. So we need to see that happen soon. Now, if we go ahead and pull that into the hourly, here again, we've got things in reverse, right? We have the 50, the 100, and the 200 moving average. But it actually, the 200 is above the 100, the 100 is above the 50. And actually, they need those things to crisscross around a little bit. So if we look here, we have got, a one coin that is below the average value on all of those. So it's below the average value on the 50, the 100, and the 200 days. And obviously, the RSI has grown quite a bit here. So we've used a lot of the relative strength index in order to push the price up from this low level down here. and it's still undervalued here, pushing up against that 13.5. And the reason for this is the volume has just been decreasing, just consistently decreasing over time. And that's, like I said before, it's not what you want to do. When you're at the bottom here, you want an increase in volume to help push that price up and utilize that relative strength index to the maximum potential. So here we've actually used quite a bit of that hourly relative strength index without doing too much to price discovery. So there's a little bit of room left, not a huge amount, but there's a little bit left there. In an ideal world, what we want to do is we want to get a little bit higher, just above that 13.5, and then come back down and retest that 13.5 cent, so we can get the relative strength index corrected, and then everything would be geared up, ready to move to the upside, where hopefully that volume actually comes in this time and moves things on out. So let's go ahead and pull this back into our daily chart. And here, yeah, so ultimately we are 152% away from our first price target of 33.9 cent. And in order to really achieve that, we want to pierce through 13.5, head up towards 15 cent or so, have a back test down and retest 13.5 as support. That back test would then correct the relative strength index, and then hopefully by the time we confirm that is now support once again, we'll have that relative strength index further corrected to a good position. With that being in a good position, we need that volume to come in. If that volume doesn't come in, we're going to really struggle. So the volume is going to be absolutely key here to really pushing this back up ahead of that 618 into the 702 and into that 786 area. Once we're above 18.4 cent, I think we have a real good shot at going ahead and getting a new all-time high above that 22.3 cent area. But time's the hardest thing to gauge, guys. It could be another 20 days going sideways. Normally speaking, when it comes to price action like this, we go up in a short space of time. In this case, it was 18 days that had 496% in gains. And then normally you're kind of going sideways for double that, right? So we could see another probably 16 days, maybe a couple more weeks of sideways trading before everything gets geared up, ready to actually move up to the next level. But like I said, time's the hardest thing to gauge, and sometimes it only takes a couple of days, but really, it could be a much longer period. So you have to be patient with this one. Huge potential when it comes to One Harmony or Harmony One. I do believe that this thing is going to go really, really well in 2021. They're starting to go up on various different news in Australia, Chris. Had Stephen, CEO, going on there talking about Harmony and how it's going to be, the scaling solution for Ethereum and all of that kind of stuff, and the bridges that are building. I do think that, Harmony is definitely going to be an incredibly important player in 2021. And I can see this thing going to $1, $2, maybe even more than that, just because it's a relatively low cap. I mean, it's got a few billion coins in circulation supply, obviously. But the market cap itself doesn't have to go to a ridiculously high number just to get to $1. So I do think this thing, can do quite significantly well in 2021 bull run. And Chris, do you align to that?
Yeah, completely aligned to that. I do want to say what we're seeing is healthy. We saw what happened with Bitcoin yesterday. Obviously, it makes it look much worse than it actually is. And that's the same for various different projects, right? But yeah, it's one of those. This is healthy. It's what we expect. And if I'm honest, and it's just my opinion, not financial advice, but what an opportunity yesterday was, and even today, heavily discounted in my opinion.
Absolutely. Guys, if you found this video useful and informative, then do go ahead and, hit that like button for us. We really do appreciate that. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you want to stay up to date with all of those hidden gems, new cryptocurrencies that we talk about here, then do consider subscribing to the channel. By subscribing, you'll be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here at Cheeky Crypto. It is free, you'll stay well informed, so why not? And with all that said, we hope you have a fantastic day, guys, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Yeah, take care.